And good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining in today for today's session of studying design, fashion, or architecture abroad. And this is part of the DQ Labs series, Study Abroad series, where we've already covered quite a few countries, and we're covering one country each day. And we're coming down almost to the end of the session or series with Australia today. And then we have France and Spain pending. So if you need to see the previous ones, please go back on our YouTube channel and you will get access to this. Our guest experts are from Shiksha Overseas. We have Ms. Avinder Kaur, who's representing Shiksha Overseas, and she and Rupinder Singh have founded this company and have been in operation since the last 20 years and have sent hundreds and thousands of students abroad. There's a feedback form that's going to be shared during this webinar. At the end of it, this link is also in the description of the webinar. So if you need to connect with us for the Study Abroad Portfolio Guidance by DQ Labs, or if you need to reach out to the Shiksha Overseas team to get your guidance, overall guidance for this particular for the country you're interested in, you're always welcome to fill that form and reach out to us. Our team will call you back and put you in touch with the right people. Over to you, Avinder.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar about studying fashion design and architecture in Australia. So as Dihan has already said, that we've been running this series for the benefit of you students, so that you can get to know everything about, design colleges in, various parts of the world. So today's this thing is about Australia. So I'm just going to share a small presentation with all of you, where I'm going to talk about studying fashion design and architecture in Australian colleges. So here the whole system is a bit different, as we all know that Australia is a very well-known nation, it's a very favorite destination for studying architecture all over the world. So it's like a very popular place, where it's amongst, I would say, the top 3 destinations, after USA and UK. And a lot of students, lakhs and lakhs of students, have gone to Australia till now. 5 lakh students every year, go to Australia. In fact, though this figure had dropped by, certain percentage in the COVID period, because Australia had stopped its, closed its doors to international students. But again, post the pandemic, it has again risen. About 70,000 students have gone last year, who have got Australian visa. So obviously the number of students who are applying for the visa are much more, because Australian visa is not so easy to get. So 70,000 students got visa last year. So that's the kind of number that we're talking about. And there is still scope for more to come, for you to go. Another, few more important reasons that are there, that it's a very popular destination amongst the students, is that it's large area. It's the 6th largest city and sixth largest country in the world, and has the lowest population density. It is still filling up places. Okay, now when we talk about places like Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, these are places like has a lot of population density, yes, because these are the mainstream cities. But there are other regional areas. Mainly when we talk about here, this is the belt where most of the population is. All this is hilly, rocky, desert area, so there isn't much of population in this area. But on the east coast and a little bit on the west coast is where, a lot of people go, and Australians are still looking at people coming to Australia to migrate, settle, and do work there. And they offer world-class qualifications, and there are lots and lots of part-time job opportunities for international students. As you know, you can work for 20 hours per week, officially, and earn your pocket money, your stay, and everything. And then you have a post-study work visa, another very big attraction for students like you who want to go and stay back and gain some experiences, like the post-study work visa opportunity, which you get for 2 years, whether you do your bachelor's or you do your diploma degree, or whether you do your master's. And then you also have an opportunity to file for PR, the permanent residency. And 7 out of 100 top universities in the world are Australian. So this is a very good number to think about. And few more reasons are like, Australia offers like about 22,000 plus courses across 1,100 institutions, which is a huge number. Even UK doesn't harbor so many institutions. They just have about 450 or 500 universities. And Australia, the biggest education is the biggest economic earner for the Australian, people. So it invests about 200,000 Australian dollars in scholarships each year. So lots and lots of scholarships available for students. And 7 Australian universities rank among top 100. I just told you. And overall, 36 higher education institutions make it to the top QS World rankings. UN and even the United Nations has ranked this country as the second best in terms of education and per capita income. So the kind of opportunity, post-study work opportunities are huge and among us, I would say. And then now let's see some few, some popular cities like Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne, and Perth. So these, everybody, first and foremost thinks about going to these cities to study. But amongst other areas, which are there are a lot of other universities across the whole of Australia. Now, there are 3 types of education institutions in Australia. First is the private colleges, which are funded by self people or the corporates. And then there are those universities which are public funded or state funded universities. And then these are like TAFE colleges. These TAFE colleges are specialist colleges which are offering certificate and diploma programs in specialist areas to students of all walks. All types of programs are offered by TAFE colleges, which are short term and long term, and also at both the bachelor's and the master's level. Now, this was just basic information about studying in Australia. Now, let's come to our main focus, that is studying design, fashion, and architecture in Australia. So when we talk about design colleges in Australia, they're amongst the most pursued after, offering outstanding curriculum. So because their courses are all practical based, and they impart excellent education, even the post-study job opportunities. Again, I'm reiterating, because yes, Australia has a huge number of opportunities for everybody. Now let's talk about why study design in Australia. So it's like an abode for who are instinctively creative. So if you're really creative, this is one place where you will get a university which will help you, I will say, build on your own innate ability, and there are countless reasons, why talents, go there, because it helps you unlock your potential to create designs, be it in any field that inspire other people's as well as you, So in institutions in Australia, they are global readers. So a lot of design, development, research and development is happening in these sectors. So a design degree in Australia, it, conditions you to the domains of the, socio-culturalism, technology, environmental studies. So you end up studying much more. It's true aesthetics in terms of design study that you do in Australia. So graduates from the Australian universities are highly sought after due to the kind of, nurturing that they get. Their reputation is really nice. So that is why the nurturing that you get at these universities really makes you an, all pervasive individual, a design professional, I would say. And then there is a lot of local art in this country that is an inspiration. The landscapes, the beauty, everything. You see the beaches there are to explore. Even the buildings, designer buildings are there that you have, that really awe you many a times. So then the Australian government also is very supportive. It grants, it gives grants to artists and designers, so that, because it wants to promote the art and the service industry more and more, it wants more people there. So, and an incredibly unique perk is that you have multiple opportunities to work as a student. So post-study, part-time job opportunities, there are there. And then the demand for design professionals is always high in Australia and as well as the rest of the world. So whether you study in, you after your study, whether you want to stay in Australia or you want to migrate to another country and get a good job elsewhere, is your prerogative. You can do that anytime. These qualifications are world renowned and globally accepted. And Australia also offers the highest salary for design services over the world. So then more things about, studying design in Australia is like, there are diverse specializations available like graphic design, furniture design, architecture and urban planning, illustration, interior design, industrial design, computer system design, gaming, jewelry and fashion. So many people have earned, they have earned practical skills and experience through real world vocational education and training programs. They are called the VET programs, but offered by design colleges there. So a lot of Australian universities offer bachelor degree programs as well as master's degree programs, and you can also go on to pursue your doctorates. So whichever area, so you have progression routes available for all design students in Australia. Now, again, the design industry, let's talk about, it adds to $26.1 billion to the economy annually, with 218,983 people, employed in the sector. So architectural, engineering and technical services is the largest employing sector in design. So a design engineer in Australia typically earns about 84,100 AUD per year, which if we convert it to INR, so an AUD would be like about 40-50 rupees. So between the range of 40-50 rupees. So you can see how much salary you'll end up, earning if you study design there. And a number of skilled occupations. It is also are currently in shortage in engineering design. So there is a lot of scope for engineering design, product design, industrial design. They need engineers, they need product design professionals, industrial design professionals. So these are jobs that are in demand in Australia. So if you're thinking about these areas, you can surely think about going to Australia. And there's a very good chance, that you will get very good employment and keep getting ongoing training there. And other than the above facts mentioned, the global recognition of the design courses is there. Then even the living costs, the low cost of accommodation. Accommodation is not very expensive like in other countries. It's much cheaper. And then wide range of majors and the high employment rate of the international students is are a few of the reasons which makes design colleges in Australia and, a magnet for you. So you can think about it. And then now let us have a look at this small chart that I have prepared, which is talking about, it houses some of the best universities for design studies, from around the globe. And as these are the 5 best universities of Australia come under the top 50 rankings in the QS World Rankings. First is the Australian National University, ANU. Next is the University of Melbourne. Then the University of New South Wales, Monash University, University of Technology, RMIT. So, and the design degrees I've listed, you can read the kind of degrees and the design programs that they offer. And for more details, you can always get back to me. I can give you even further details about it. And then now some of the popular specializations in design studies that are offered are like graphic design, fashion design, interior design, landscape design, which, master's degrees and bachelor's degrees are offered at universities like RMIT, University of Canberra, Torrens University of Australia, and then University of Technology, Sydney, Swinburne, Curtin, University of Canberra, and University of New South Wales, and University of Technology, Sydney. So these are all the universities which are offering degrees in bachelor's and master's in these specialization areas of design. And other few options that are available are product design, transportation design, animation design, and user experience. That is the VFX, user experience design, etc. So there is no dearth of options available for you. And next, we talk about the entry requirements for the design students who want to go for undergraduate studies. So you should be having a minimum of 60 to 65% in your higher secondary certificates in best of 4. So, but remember that overall also all the 5 subjects or the 6 subjects that you are studying are taken into consideration, not less than this. For a CBSE or a ICSE board, state boards, they require a bit higher of the percentage. They want minimum 65% to 70%. And then if please note that entry requirements may vary per se per university as well. So these are the generic norms that are required, that you should have minimum of these marks. Besides this, you require a portfolio, then you require an English proficiency test that you need to give, like IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE, and then you can apply for university applications. And then the postgraduate academic requirements, there they follow the NOOSR guidelines in the Australian system, which is the National Office of Overseas Skills Recognition, which is an Australian government agency assessing levels of overseas qualification. So when they say section 1, 2, 3, aggregate percentage required to be 50%, 55%, or 60%, means your bachelor studies depending on the area that you have finished. So minimum they're looking at, though they say 50%, but due to the the competition, you do require a bit higher this thing, percentages. And the better the university, the higher the percentage required. Because when we talk about taking admission in a university like University of Melbourne, it is a very tough nut to crack, or I will say a cookie to get into, because the number of applications are very high, and it is the number 1 institution in Australia. And then their eligibility criteria again is very stringent. They're looking at the best of students to come to them to study for themselves. Now let's talk about studying architecture in Australia. Architecture, we know, we've talked about all through our webinars, that it's the basic requirements per se per country always varied, and they've always been different than basic design colleges, for entry for design colleges. So now architecture colleges in Australia are globally acknowledged and known. And why are we studying? So, and over 80 universities provide architectural studies, and according to the QS subject rankings 2023, 4 Australian universities rank amongst the top 50 best universities for architecture, with 10 ranked among the top 100. So this is a very good, I will say, a figure to look at. So it's very aspiring, not aspiring, I will say inspiring, I'm sorry, very inspiring to look at when we are thinking about a great destination to go to for our studies. And moreover, the demand for architecture in Australia has really increased dramatically in the past years, and the majority of international students who choose architecture after as a career after graduating from Australian universities, they end up getting fantastic jobs, fantastic pays. So a candidate with a UG degree in architecture from Australian colleges, can earn up to about 60,800 AUDs, and with higher degrees can earn up to 1 lakh AUD, which are really good salaries that we're talking about here. And then let's talk about the top architectural colleges in Australia. So here is a list of, according to the QS top rankings 2023. Number 1 is University of Melbourne, University of Sydney, University of South Wales, RMIT, Curtin University, University of Queensland, Griffiths University, Monash, and University of Adelaide, and University of Western Australia. These rank amongst, and the numbers that I have given, like 33, 41, 45, are the QS rankings. So these are the rankings among the world top universities. So you see how well they are ranked. And then we go on to, the top architecture programs and degrees that are offered, as an undergraduate or a graduate or a doctoral program. So there is architecture, engineering, garden design, construction, interior design, landscape, property planning, civil engineering, urban and regional planning, urban horticulture, illumination design, lighting design and technology, green infrastructure, construction management, building planning, urban designing, and property valuation. So just look at the kind of specializations just under the architecture banner. that are available for students like you to go and study at the both bachelor's, graduate, postgraduate, or the doctoral level. So every country doesn't boast of these kind of specializations, And now let's talk about the admission process for architecture in an Australian university. So if you want to pursue architecture degree in Australia, it's like this too. You should meet this criteria. You should score out 80% or more from a recognized institution, and be it a CBSE or a ICSE or a state board, whatever it is at par. Okay. Then an English proficiency test of TOEFL, IELTS, PT, or Duolingo at a minimum score of say 78 in TOEFL and a score of 6.5, not less than 6 in each, is required. And then they also have an entrance exam where so you have to perform very nicely there. And then some Australian universities also may consider the score of maths. So maths is a requirement in a previous, study that you would have attended, and more than anything else, a portfolio. So a bachelor's degree program in Australia, in architecture in Australia lasts for about 3 to 4 years, and a master's program in architecture minimum 2 years. So at the most, it takes you about 6 to 7 years or 8 years to become a full-fledged architect, in Australia, like, because I'm talking about professional experience as well. So that also counts before you can, be known as an architect to practice there in Australia. Coming on to scholarships, now let's talk about scholarships for design students, for bachelor's and master studies in design, So tuition fee ranges from 31,000 AUD to 42,000 AUD for the bachelors, and ranges between 19,000 to 43,000 AUD for the masters. And there are several scholarships provided by the university. I'll just share a list with you as well. So for the government to aid international students, and you must know that the Australian government each year spends about $200 million to provide scholarships, fellows, and grants to international students. So there's a cake for everybody to eat. So and then among some of the most popular international student funds are Australian Awards, Destination Australia Award, Australian Government Research Training Program, APEC Women in Research Fellowship, and Provider Scholarships. So moving on, these are the scholarships that are available for design colleges in Australia. Like when we talk about RMIT, they have this Future Leaders Scholarship, which is offered to international students who want to pursue either undergrad or postgrad. And the amount in AUD varies, and the number of scholarships that they also give varies, because they look at the deserving students. So the kind of funds that they have allocated each year, they equally divide amongst the deserving students. Could be 10 students or 20 students in a year, so it gets divided amongst them. Then the Swinburne University of Swinburne offers international excellence scholarships, so enrolled at Swinburne University of Technology. Then the Melbourne International Undergraduate Scholarship. Now this is for academic excellence, only available to the UG students, for the University of Melbourne. So here there is no scholarship available to students at the master's level. And the amount of award is 32,088 AUD, and number of scholarships that are given out are like 50. So, and then there's the Monash International Merit Scholarship, which is for both UG and PG courses. And then the Australia Award Scholarship. Again, it is, for students who take either PG or UG education in Australia. So this could be that you could you could study in any university. It's not, that a Monash student or a Melbourne student or a Swinburne or a RMIT student will get. So you could study in a UNSW, and you will get a scholarship if you're deserving. So this is the government scholarship. And then the ANU, that is the Australian National University Study Canberra India Scholarship. So those students who study at the Canberra campus, they are given. So UG and PG, courses at the Canberra campus. These scholarships are specially given for Indian students. Then the Australian Government Research Training Program. So this is for international and domestic students. So you have to compete with the Australian residents for undertaking research masters and research doctorate degrees. Again, the amount varies and the number of scholarships vary because it depends on the number of students who are applying each year for these kind of scholarships. Then we move on to further scholarships offered at architecture colleges for the students. First, and wide range of scholarships are available for international students, whether you're pursuing a bachelor degree or a master degree or a PhD degree. So these are all merit-based scholarships by the university or by the government. First is the Bond University Scholarship offered by Bond University, and it is specially given to architecture students enrolled in the bachelor's or the master's or maybe a diploma or a professional program. So, and then you must have scored a minimum of 75% in Bond University itself. And the scholarship value is that it could go up to the full tuition fee, for the whole program that could be given to you. And then we talk about the next is the EAIT International Awards offered by the University of Queensland. So you must be an international student to be accepted into a bachelor's degree in the University of Queensland. And then there is the scholarship for international students at the University of Newcastle, where you should be enrolled for a full-time program and provide academic transcripts along with your scholarship application. And if you're deserving, you get about 140,000 AUD. And then there's the University President's Scholarship in Australia, which are offered by the University of South Australia. So these are given to international students enrolled in the master's or PhD program. So no scholarships for bachelor's in this university. So in architecture, not the other things, but in the architecture department, these are for master's and PhD students. Then the Architecture, Design and Planning Dean's International Merit Scholarship, which is offered by University of Sydney, which is a very well-renowned university, and it is offered to all international graduate students. If you're, I will say, eligible, you will get. So the scholarship value is about 10,000 AUD. Okay. Now, when we talk about postgraduate employment options, like what are my options, post-study options, if I'm a design student? So what should I look for? So remember that the field of design is hugely in demand and one of the most contributing fields in creative economy. That is in, going by the, I will say cost conservative estimates, a total workforce of 7 million designers will be required to meet the industry demand in its coming years. So that's a huge number. So you can really think about going there. An individual in the field of design in Australia earns about 61,200 AUD per annum. So it's again in INR is very good salary, but even by Australian standards, it is a very good salary because the cost of accommodation is not so high. Living costs are not that expensive. So you end up saving a lot of money if you're not too spendthrift, So the salary range varies depending on the skill and your experience. How good are you with your designing? How much years of experience have you gained? So like a person, somebody who's just done a certificate or a diploma program gets about like a 46,200 AUD, but 18% more than someone having a high school degree. So they do give employment opportunities to design students at the entry level first to high school students also in Australia. Those are for Australian people, not for us. Okay. So now a bachelor degree holder gets an average salary of 66,900 AUD per year. And 45% more than someone with a certificate or diploma. Now, when we talk about professionals with master's degree, they get about 87,700 AUD per annum, and that is 31% more than you will get with a bachelor's degree in your hand. So now we talk about the post-study options for architects. So an average architect working in Australia earns about 109,000 AUD annually. Again, a very high salary, which is really good. So it ranges between 57,600 AUD to 165,000 AUD per year. So this depends on the number of years of experience and your skills and your qualification, whether you're a bachelor's or a master's or a doctorate. So this will vary. And a person having only 2 years of experience usually ends up having an average salary of about 66,200 with a bachelor's degree. So while a person with experience of about 5 years earns about 81,000 AUD, and the salary doubles in the coming 5 to 10 years. With your 5 to 10 years of experience as compared to your starting salary. So now the students who have done their master's degree in Australia in architecture, they earn about 68,027 AUD per year. So around 90% of graduates are earning nearly 102,000 AUD annually, while 10% graduates have annual salary by around 53,000 AUD. Now, even the average salary for Bachelor of Architect is seen on 69,000 AUD annually. So look at these salary figures, they're so promising, they're so enticing, I would say, that, the kind of qualification, with the qualifications that you earn in Australia, post those, you end up earning really good salaries. So it is really giving value to what you have actually studied. So when you get to practice, you put to practice what you've learned, you earn very well. Now, coming to the last part of our webinar, this is like the Australian visa. So there are various subclasses of the Australian student visa. However, the Indian students who are planning to study in Australia, they apply for Australian subclass 500 student visa. And it takes usually somewhere around 17 to 32 days for processing after you have submitted. And that is the time period involved. So, but sometimes it could take up to 3 months, because if they, start doing a lot of checks into your, academic qualifications or financials or whatever. So for further details, you'll have to get back to me when you think about you want to go to Australia and you want to file for your visa. Once you've got your admission, we'll give you further details as to the kind of financial documents required, other documents required, how to file, where, when, everything. So we give you the whole know-how. So with this, we come to the end of our presentation, and I would like very much like that, if any one of you has any questions as whatsoever, to ask me about it.
All right, thank you so much for that, Avinda. Yeah, so we are, so anyone who has questions can please ask us now, but it was very interesting to see that there are good scholarships. First of all, the overall study, the expense is not as expensive as other countries, but
No.
coupled with the scholarships, it seems to be much more reasonable, right?
See, fees is very competitive, but living is cheaper. Okay, so relatively the whole cost comes down. It's not as expensive as USA, then even it's lesser expensive than than UK as well. But yeah, Canada and Australia range on the same this thing about with their fees and everything. But living costs, are the ones which are the real takeaway this thing for the students. Low cost accommodation and everything.
All right. And how easy is it for them to achieve these scholarships? I mean, is it a challenge? Is it that, is there any ratio that we know as to how many students get the scholarships?
See, yeah, because there are a lot of scholarships available, and they really are, it's like an invitation for international students, come study. We'll give money to you and everything. Yeah, but yes, it is challenging to get these scholarships, because they only give them, they're very particular. They only give them to deserving students. So they'll have a look at your portfolio. When we talk about design or architecture students, they'll see your portfolio, because through the portfolio, it's like a mirror into you. So they get to know your innate abilities. How good are you? Are you going to be a good contributor to that economy once you finish studying there? So are you going to, how are you going to upgrade the status of the economy by being a citizen of Australia, or by, being an employee in the Australian, region? So this is very important. Then your academics are, okay, your basic percentages might range from 60 to 65%, but those students will not get scholarships. If you're looking at higher scholarships, then you are looking at 80% and above marks. 80-85% marks for design students. And when you're talking about architecture, 90 plus, 85-90% plus. because as it is, the minimum criteria for getting into an Australian university is 80%. So if you don't have 79 also, they usually reject because they're very particular. So koi if you know.
Where's your phone? I'm not sure if I lost network or if Avinder has lost network, but one of us has. If you're listening to me on chat, if you can just confirm whether you can see me or you can see Avinder. Okay. I'm guessing you all can see me. All right, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Jatisha. Right, so I'm guessing we've lost Avinder. So this is a confusion. Always we don't know who's lost whom. But yeah, would you have any other questions that you all would like to ask Avinder? And if you all do, I can moderate that in, but if you don't, I have pinned this particular, I've pinned a link to a form that you can click on. And once you fill that form, we will be happy to connect you with either Jatisha, either Avinder or our own team, depending on whom you would like to connect with. Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm guessing we've lost Avinder. Let me just see if. Yep, I'm not. Yes, she's back. All right. So we have Avinder back, but I don't think we have any more questions. And if we do have any questions, please feel free to fill up that form and reach out to our team, and our team will get in touch with you and connect you with Avinder, and we'll take it from there. Right?
Right. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Avinder, for this very interesting chat.
Thank you, Deon, for having us here, having me here.
Oh, wait, there's one query with
Sure.
regard to the degree being awarded.
Yeah.
So Jatisha Srijat is typing it in. All right. So we can wait.
Yeah, sure. No problems. Yeah. And I'm sorry about the technical this thing, and my internet just flooped, you know. So.
Well, I too had a little unstable connection at the start of the session. So Jatisha's question, bachelor's degree, will it be an architectural degree? The bachelor's.
Yes, you will get a BArch. Yes, you will get a bachelor's in architecture.
Okay. Yes. A BArch. All right.
Yeah. That's a bachelor's in architecture, or you at the master's level, you get an MArch, the master's in architecture, and then you have the specializations available. So whichever area of specialization you choose for, opt for, will be added to your degree specialization.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So Jatisha, I hope that's answered your question. All right. Thank you so much, Avinder, and looking forward to the next session tomorrow.
Yes.
All right.
Tomorrow we cover France.
All right. All right. Okay.
Right. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's session as well. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for being there.
Yes.
Thank you, Dion, for having me.
Thanks a
It
lot.
was a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Have a good day, everybody.